Hello, everyone. Welcome to HighSpeed Healing Wednesdays. This is a bonus call, and we've got a big bonus person here today that I'm excited to bring back. By popular demand, I have brought back my good friend and colleague, Margie Bissinger, who is a happiness trainer. I mean, look at that smile. She's got to be a happiness trainer. Every time I see her, she's like bubbly and laughing, and it's contagious. And so today on HighSpeed Healing Wednesday, we are going to have another remarkable call and just go deeper into this whole topic of, is it really true? Can you really be happy even if everything around you is falling apart and life isn't going your way? If those obnoxious people won't change, your neighbors, the drivers, like, can you still be happy in spite of all this crap in the world? Or is it just something that you're born with? Is it genetics? Like, where does happiness come from? Believe it or not, there is such a thing as a happiness trainer. Margie is a physical therapist and a brainiac. I love her. She's a research geek. And do you know that her specialty is, believe it or not, I know this is all going to come together, just stay with us, but her specialty is osteoporosis, which is bones, okay? So she's a physical therapist. Her specialty is osteoporosis, and she's a happiness trainer. Now, that seems disconnected, but she's going to share with you tonight some very interesting facts. Did you know that your bones and your happiness are interrelated? And there's actually research about this. Yes, there are people who literally spend their time figuring this stuff out so that they can help us. And so I'm going to bring her on, and we're going to have another deep, fun conversation and give you some practical tools tonight so that you can take better charge of your state of happiness. And with no further ado, welcome back, my friend. I'm so happy to have you here. You're amazing, and you're just glowing tonight. What's up? You ate your Wheaties or something?
I'm actually at my son and daughter-in-law's. And so it's a different location. It's upstate New York. It's more in the country. So it's good. All great. And Debora, I just love being with you and your community. I already feel the amazing, amazing energy. So I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I'd love for you to just share, for those, we have a lot of new people on the call tonight, and a lot of new people on the HighSpeed Healing Wednesday list that are, I'm sure, going to listen to the recording at a later date. And they don't know you. So would you give us just a brief summary, like, who are you really? Where did you come from? And how did you get into this happiness category, working with bones and happiness? How does that even happen?
Okay, so let's see. So it goes back. I've been a physical therapist for many, many years. I mean, over 35 years. And I'll tell you my happiness journey. So I was a physical therapist, and early in my 20s, my early 20s, I was not very happy. I was actually miserable because something happened. And it was day 2 of my honeymoon. And I found out that the person that I married had been seeing someone our entire engagement. And, he said, oh, by the way, I have something to tell you. And, now that could never happen, but we were living in different parts of the country. I was in Boston, he was in Minnesota. And so I find this out, I moved to Minnesota and tried to make things work out, but they didn't. So I was not, I was like sick to my stomach. It was a horrible feeling. It was just, here you're so excited. Should have been one of the happiest days. And here, this happened. And when I moved there, nobody even knew that he had gotten married. He hadn't broken up with the other girl yet. It was really a mess. Anyway, it didn't work out. So I moved to Chicago. I just didn't want people feeling sorry for me. And I was working at that point in an outpatient clinic with people with chronic pain, neck pain, back pain, TMJ.
That's us. That's us.
Everybody was just really, really unhappy. And they said to me, Margie, you're so happy. What's your secret? And I thought, if they only knew what I had just gone through, they would never say that. Yeah. But then it hit me at that very moment that I was happy. And my happiness was not based on my circumstances. And so I thought, everyone's so unhappy. What got me through it? And now I call them happiness habits. At the time, I didn't know what they were called.
Yeah.
But I realized, I really thought about it. What is it that got me through that I can still feel joy? So I started teaching that to my patients. And truly, miracles happen. Neck pain, back, everything got better so much quicker than with traditional physical therapy. And I've been doing that now for over 35 years. So that's how I got into the happiness. Then I studied positive psychology. I also worked with an amazing mentor, Marcie Bissinger, on learning how to teach happiness. And so I've been teaching that to every patient, every person I work with. And now I have a whole happiness program. So that's how I got into the happiness. How I got into the bones, I don't think I ever told you this, Deborah. How I got into the bones was I was living in Chicago, moved to New Jersey, and I was working really in my own practice at that time. And there was a group of doctors who called me, would you be willing to see our patients with osteoporosis? And this was before Fosamax, it was quite a while ago. And I said, sure. And I couldn't believe what I saw. Everybody, well-meaning, were doing all the wrong exercises, things that were actually could increase the risk of fractures. And I said, I have to intervene here. And I started working with the state of New Jersey. I started working nationally. I wrote a book. I just got very involved because there were other ways, and there were holistic, natural ways you could really help your bones that people didn't know about. And that's how I started my podcast too. So yeah, so that's how I got into all those things.
Amazing, amazing. So we have with us tonight, really, I mean, pay attention, folks. Best-selling author, speaker, teacher, for years. She's truly an expert. And you've told me before, and I'd love for you to share with the listeners, like, there's actual research on how your bones and happiness are related. I found that fascinating. Will you elaborate on that?
Sure. There's really two ways. One is they've done studies on people who are happier in their life. People who are satisfied with their life have higher bone densities. I mean, they've done research and showing that it correlates. But it makes sense. Think about it. If you're happier, you're going to be exercising, you're going to be eating well. So all the things that also contribute to your bones, but they've actually done a study just on that. That's one part. The second part is, when we're stressed, we're not as happy. So they sort of go hand in hand. And the stress hormone cortisol actually reduces the osteoblasts, which are the bone building cells. So cortisol wreaks havoc on the whole body. But and it's interesting because so many times people will see me and they're so worried. Are they eating? Because I'm also a health coach too. Are they eating the right food? Are they doing the right exercises? But not realizing that stress actually has negative effects on the bones. So yes.
We talk about this a lot in my community because we also know that thoughts and emotions are huge contributors to stress and how you're thinking all day long. In fact, you ready for this? We think 90 on average, the average person's thinking 90,000 thoughts a day. There aren't even 90,000 seconds in a day. There's like 8,400 seconds in a day, which means we're thinking faster than the seconds in an entire day. Now, if most of those thoughts are negative or fearful or worry thoughts, it's having an effect. It's having an emotional impact. Those emotions start to release toxins. They affect our nervous system, our immune system. I mean, this is how you go down the spiral, right? Down, not up. And affects our mood and our mind, and eventually it shows up in the body. And so you talk about happiness habits. What did you discover? Because, that betrayal that you went through, that's not just some little thing. That's a big deal. So what habits had you developed or did you develop that enabled you to get through that and notice you were actually happier going through that than people with pain?
It was interesting. I think one of the main things, and I see this so often, one of the main things is early on, immediately, even though I was, very upset and angry, I forgave him. I didn't condone what he did by any means, but I forgave him so I could move on in my life. And everybody was like, oh, don't you want to kill him? Everybody, and that's how our society is, revenge, don't you want to? And I said, no, I wanted to move on and be able to enjoy my life. And to do that, I had to forgive. And so it's, to me, forgiveness, like a lot of people say, I can't forgive, but
Right.
it's like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. I
Yeah.
didn't. So I think that was really important. And as a physical therapist, I've seen so many times, and you probably see this as well, Deborah, when people hold on to things, I see it in their muscles.
Yes.
They're just holding on to things. And so they really need to release that. Again, not to agree with what's happened, but to do a practice where you forgive so it's for you. It's really not for the other person. So I think the forgiveness early on was key for me. And that's one thing that I do teach people different ways of practicing forgiveness.
Well,
I also, yeah,
we talk. Oh, let me just elaborate on this, and then we'll go to the next one. But we
sure.
talk about this as well because I found, everyone I work with is in pain of some kind, and particularly not just a little pain, but a lot of pain. And so what I found is these unresolved emotions, the hurts, the betrayals, these play a huge factor in pain. And like you're saying, the forgiveness is important, but the precursor, forgiveness gets confused with condoning bad behavior. And that's what I have found a lot of times. People in my community that worked in my pain free living program, especially, know we talk about this, that if you just try to skip over how you really feel and you don't resolve the anger, the resentment, the doubts, the fears, the hurts, you won't truly forgive. You might intellectually think that you've forgiven, but if you're harboring that hurt, it will show up as some kind of pain or symptom at some point. So could you share with us, like, how do you even distinguish, how do you um, forgive someone and still resolve the feelings? You want to talk about that for a minute?
Sure, sure. I think you never want to just put things in the closet because you can't
Right.
do that.
Right.
And so I think you do need to deal with the real emotions, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
But then there's numerous ways. Like one is just writing a forgiveness letter,
Uh,
and that you forgive them so that you can move on. Again, it's not condoning, or if you bring compassion to it, if you look at the other person through the eyes of compassion, that what the person did, again, you don't condone and you realize it's done. Nothing you're going to do is going to change the situation now. And so if you see them as a person hurting, or for whatever reason they did what they did, and again through the eyes of compassion, it really changes things. So
yeah.
sometimes I have a meditation where I take people through to really go through that. But I agree with you, Deborah, and I know at your day of healing you went through that, and I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah,
If people
I
just
just find
yeah.
sometimes people are so afraid to feel the anger in particular. Women in general have been trained to never let that anger come up. It's too powerful of an emotion. And I'm not saying you bring it up and take it out on anyone, including yourself or the person that you've been through the experience with. But if in a safe space with like a mentor like Margie or myself, it's important to feel your feelings or you're not going to heal. And that's where things like writing the letter can be so powerful. To write a letter, say what you need to say, get it out, and burn it. And just
Right. That's the good thing. You never have to confront the person. You just have to write the letter. You can rip it up, burn it, right?
because a lot of times the people that have hurt you the most they've passed away. That doesn't mean you can't be free of the issue. You can still be happy, even if you can't. Sometimes people say, well, if I could just go tell them off. Well, that isn't always possible. And A, and B, it may not get you what you think. So the outcome may not be as pleasant as you think. All right. So, next happiness habit. What else can you share with us that you discovered that was helpful for you that might really
And
shift?
another thing that's helpful for me is when we're going through, and this has helped me too. It's still amazing at that age that I did, but when we're going through issues,
Mhm.
to think maybe if there was a higher purpose, what could it be? To just trust that maybe, because for me, sometimes you can't see the dots as you're going through them, but only when you go and look back can you see that. And so for me, actually, I decided not to move back to the East Coast. I'm from New York. And I was living in Boston because I just didn't want people feeling sorry for me. And so I moved to Chicago, and I ended up living across the street from now my husband of over 35 years.
Right.
And and things I would never, had I not gone through this, I grew a lot in the experience, and I would never, ever have really even looked for someone, it just would never have happened. He's from Ohio. It never would have happened. So sometimes if you think, okay, maybe there's a higher purpose, that I think is very helpful.
I
And
love that. I mean, I have seen the same in my life as well, that when something doesn't work out, there's a little saying, when one door closes, another one opens. And what if it's even better than what you wanted or thought you were going to get from the other? And it's just the journey of transformation and trusting that the universe is really for us, not against us. I had a client earlier today, and it came up again. It's such a common theme, especially with people who have all kinds of pain, anxiety, depression, and trauma. It's easy to begin to think life's against me. I'm cursed. There's something wrong with me. Why me? Why me? Why me? When really, if we just, I love what you just shared. Like, do your best to let it go and start thinking of, wow, maybe there's something better for me that I wouldn't have even known was going to happen. I mean, how powerful is that?
it's also so interesting. There's so many people, I'm sure you feel the same way. I've worked with so many people with cancer and terminal things or whatever it was,
Yeah.
and they gained a whole different sense of life. And that, to the point, they said to me afterwards, you know what? I am so much happier now. And one person in particular was blind, but she saw life very differently. So yes, it's hard, but I think, to know that there's a silver lining or a gift, and you may not know what it is, but sometimes it's helpful. And
Absolutely helpful. I love that. Hey, everyone in the audience listening, please type your questions into the chat that you'd like to throw at Margie while we have her here with us. What kind of questions? It could be about happiness. It could be about your relationships or whatever you think is causing you to feel unhappy. It could be your health. You could ask questions about bones. And Margie is also, she's an amazing physical therapist. And one of the things I wanted to bring up tonight that we've never talked about before on a call when I've done them with you, Margie, is with all that we've been through with the big pivot this last year and a half, many people are home now more than ever. And they're now working from home. They're sitting at computers a lot more. They're sitting a lot more. And we know that sitting is the new smoking. And so there's all these symptoms coming up for people. So people who had pain, the pain is flared up. People who didn't have pain are experiencing pain maybe for the first time and going, what the hell do I do with this tech neck? And their backaches. And I've been hearing so many more complaints than ever before. And, it's very difficult to feel happy if you're in physical pain. So you and I, we've been plotting, everybody. And Margie has offered to teach tonight a better way of sitting that's ergonomically correct and give us some tips about this and to help alleviate the tech neck. I don't know about you. I certainly have it. There are days where my whole neck is out of whack from the scrolling. So we got to get this under control, because if you're already in pain or you're already unhappy and you're sitting more, or you're at home 24/7, or you've got now your spouse and your kids at home, it can get tense. So Margie, help.
okay. First of all, yes. Number one, we'll go through a lot of things, but number one, the most important thing is to take breaks and get up. The body was never meant to sit in one position for a period of time. So totally getting up, moving around, I would say every 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even just getting up just for a couple minutes to get the blood circulated. Okay. The biggest thing I see with everything with sitting is your low, everyone thinks, okay, because this is what people, can you see me okay?
Yeah.
Rounds it out. Okay. This is the position that people get in over the computer.
Oh, move her hair so they can see. She's rounding. She's hunching forward and in and caving in her chest, rounding those shoulders. And you're there and you're doing this and your shoulders are up by your ears and you're right. That's
absolutely. We didn't talk about this. I could show a few slides. Would that be helpful? No. Okay. So here's the thing, right? So let me move my hair. So when you're in this, let me just talk about how dangerous this position is.
Yeah.
So this rounded position, first of all, everyone try this for a minute. Just like get yourself in a little ball
Do it for a
and
while.
ready and say, I feel happy.
I feel happy.
You
Yeah,
can.
right.
Versus when you're expanded and then you feel, I feel miserable.
I love that.
You can. And that's like one of my principles. You want to do things in life to expand you. So when you're in this contracted position, not only do you not feel happy, but what happens is, first of all, the shoulders. So the shoulders are rounded. So now we put that rotator cuff in it. If you can't even raise your arm high. So it's in the perfect position for impingement. That's where you get all the rotator cuff injuries and the bursitis. So that's really, really key. Number two, your shoulder blade, the muscles back here, because they're stretched, they become weakened. So then they don't even support you the way they're supposed to. You also don't get the same amount of lung capacity because we're closing down our lungs. So your breath isn't the same, the oxygen. And then also you can get carpal tunnel. I mean, you can get numbness down your hands. There's so many things that can happen. Your neck being forward like this, you compress. There's nerves like right in the upper part of your neck. You're compressing the nerves, so you can get headaches, migraines. But here's where it stems from a lot: the low back. So what I want, a lot of people sit with their low back rounded, and they just sort of, and look, if I do nothing else, so I'm sitting nice and erect, where my shoulders sort of over my ears. But if I now slouch, everything falls apart. So that's where you have to start. You have to start at the low back. And our low back has like a normal inward curve. We want to maintain that inward curve when we sit. And if you just remember that, so you can do it a few ways. If you have a chair with a back, because some people, then you can take a towel roll or use the lumbar support. But I like what you do is you separate your legs a little bit. Okay, so they're
practice this.
Yeah, I want everybody to try this. So separate your legs.
Yeah.
And unless you're wearing a short dress, it's not going to work. But I guess no one can see you because we only see you from waist up. So
another advantage of Zoom calls, right?
Separate your legs, and I want you just for a minute to sit on your hands.
Sit on your hands.
On your hands, and I want you to feel there's the two bones there.
Oh yeah,
just for a minute. Those are called the sit bones. Yep. And so if you round out, you'll feel they go forward.
Right.
And if you overarch, they go back.
Right.
So you want to sit directly on those bones. And take your hands out now.
That's a great example.
Can everybody feel those? But I have a little trick, what you can do. What you can do is pretend, this I learned from Moshe Feldenkrais. Feldenkrais is like a wonderful method to help people with movement. But think about sitting on a clock. Think that you're sitting on the face of a clock. And so 12 o'clock would be behind you and 6 o'clock would be in front. So what you could do is move your pelvis from 12 to 6. Okay, so everybody make sure it doesn't hurt. So you can just move from 12 to 6.
Yeah.
And then close your eyes and go in smaller and smaller increments until you stop. And you usually stop in a good position. And usually you're right on those sit bones.
Yeah.
So if I were to push on your shoulders, you'd be stable. Whereas if you're rounded, you would collapse.
Interesting. I've noticed that now, first of all, I'm totally guilty of not taking enough breaks. So I'll sit for hours at a time. And I've done this my whole life. I'm well aware of it. But when I get tired sitting, I start to tuck my pelvis forward. And that is probably the big worst thing that you could ever do that I'm doing. So very interesting. I've never had, even in yoga teachers, I've never had them do that, where to find the sit bones, that point. That's a great example.
The other thing you could do is take your chair. So it depends what kind of chair you're sitting on, and sit on a corner. So your legs are straddling the corner of the chair. That's another way to get in this nice position.
Interesting. Now, I've heard people say you should sit all the way back in the chair, pushing your back into the chair. No.
No, because that's going to round you out. If you're sitting with a support, I mean, I like to sit, more just when you're in this stable position,
Yeah.
you can move and you can do. And when you bend from your whole body. So it's like you're bending from your hips. You're
Yeah.
not compressing from the waist. So you can move, you can, use your body, efficiently. The thing is, if you have a back support, it's not that I don't agree with that. You can get a lumbar support and put it right in that curve. So the key is to maintain that inward curve in your low back.
Well, so I tried that, but what I noticed is I can still tuck under even with a lumbar support there. So, you can trick those pillows.
Yeah. So it's much better to just, be on the sit bones and learn it. And you can do both, Deborah, because if you get tired, if you're really fatigued, you may want to then sit back with a good support. Maybe you need a bigger support or one that's a little sturdier. But the key is just not to, and you can collapse, but collapse into support,
Well, let me ask you this. So in yoga, they often teach about lifting the sitting bones up and putting like a small rolled up towel just on the
Yes, that's a good thing too. Yes. And they make even cushions like that. Yes, you could certainly do that. Take a towel.
It feels really good unless I overarch the back.
Yes, that's the key. You do it just so you're sitting on this, so that you're not too arched. But here's something else that everybody can do right now that is so good. So I want you to take your feet, unless you're wearing high heels. If you are, like, take them off, and just push your feet straight down into the ground and see what happens. Just press down.
Mm-hmm.
Can you feel how good that feels? It lengthens you.
Totally. It lifts you up, and it also pulls everything into the core.
Yes.
And it activates the sitting bones.
Yep. So it's an easy thing to do. But here's the other. So these are very, very good things to do. And, but to get up, move. And I'm a big believer in the sit to stand desk. I love that. But if not, go to a counter. Just go to a different position, stand, walk around, change positions, because we're not meant to sit like this. And even if you stand, they have like some cushions you can stand on. It's called like the air out, just to use different muscles and just movement. I think if you know that you need to move and do, I can show everyone a few exercises. Would that be helpful?
Yes, that would be great, especially like something for the neck and shoulders and opening this and whatever. You fire away.
Okay, well, someone's asking me a question. Can you read that? Is it possible
is it possible to overuse a heating pad on your back? For example, using one of the bean-filled snake-shaped heating pads on your lumbar area. Is there any like negative thing that could happen?
I don't think, if it's helping you, if it's adding more blood circulation, if you're in pain and that's relieving pain, I don't think so. If it's masking, if you're really sitting incorrectly and it's masking pain, so you can, it's not allowing you to really figure out structurally, because we want to be in structural alignment. We really do. So if it's masking anything, I think it's not a great thing. But as long as, or if you have, if you're inflamed more, it's seeming to aggravate it, but obviously you wouldn't use it then. But just to use it if it's making you feel better, I don't think that's a problem.
Pat has a bone question I'm going to throw at you here too.
Sure.
He said that I have low bone density and high urinary oxalates that cause kidney stone issues. And it seems like calcium is not being absorbed into my bones and it's being discharged. Can you address that?
Yeah, that's like a huge question, but oxalates. So what happens is, like people think spinach could be good for your bones. But the problem is, if there's too much oxalic acid, it binds with the calcium and it makes the calcium, it's not effective. Right. It makes it indigestible. So yes. So that's, if you are having too many oxalates, yes, that could be a problem. But so that's one thing. But you still do want your calcium. And there's, if it's not getting absorbed, or if it's just, if, there could be other reasons. Do you have digestive issues? That's a big one, or not enough stomach acid, so sometimes there can be numerous things. It's probably the best thing to do, though, is to see someone, a functional medicine doctor, and really go through a workup to see, because I'm so big into figuring out the root causes of osteoporosis instead of just masking it with, medication or other things, because there's so much that can be done. And I've been working for 25 years with osteoporosis, and really people have been doing great when they do the exercise, eating properly, and figuring out the root cause. So does that answer your question?
Well, and a lot of times, as you're touching on here, the microbiome in your gut is affecting everything. And so you really want to look at that too. And then to take it even further, you have to remember that your gut is your emotional center. And we're back to the fact that if you want to heal, you have to learn to feel, because your feelings, your emotions that are getting unresolved, they're not only affecting your happiness factor, they're affecting your bones, your gut, your entire physiology is affected by your feelings. So if you, and men in particular, they're taught from a very young age, you're not allowed to feel. You absolutely have to grow up and be a man, and you're not allowed to cry. It's just incredible what the programming, the conditioning that happens for all of us, but particularly for men. And so it doesn't surprise me when I work with a lot of men and they're in pain, or they have this issue or that issue, or gut health or migraines, whatever it is. It often, if you go all the way back down to the essence, those thoughts and those emotions are the starting point for everything that shows up in the physical. And then we get a little too obsessed with which supplement and what food, because, and again, I'm not against all that. That's all important. But if that's all you focus on and you skip over the thought habits and the emotions, you could eat whatever or take whatever, till you're green in the face, but you're not going to heal. So
I couldn't agree with you more. And that's why every program I do, we start with happiness, because all those are pieces of happiness. I start with that and build on all the other things as well. But you need to have that foundation, just like you're saying, with the thoughts and the emotions, because people don't heal when they're in with the sympathetic state, when they're not. They don't heal. And so when you do the groundwork first, it's amazing, the difference. And that's what I've been, that was, I guess, the most fun when working with, I've worked with chronic pain for so many years as well. And when I started teaching the habits, to start seeing joy return, there's, and passion, and because that's what we're meant. We're not meant to just sort of get by. Absolutely not. We're meant to thrive. I call it living in color. We're not meant to live in black and white. We're meant to live a colorful life. And pain can sometimes zap that out of you. So
I love that. And again, your posture is intricately woven into your happiness and your health, because as Margie just demonstrated, think about it. Your posture is reflecting your state of mind. If you're worried and you're anxious and you're all scared and you're all caved in, you cannot feel happiness, joy, the higher vibration that I know all of you want. Your posture alone, if you shift that one thing alone.
And they've done studies on this. I mean, they've done research at Harvard showing the power pose, people interviewed better. Yep. And the most amazing thing to me is that blind athletes, when they win a race, they do the victory pose because it feels so good. So should I show everyone some exercises that they could do? Okay. Okay. So for the neck, let's start with the neck. So first of all, you always, gravity pulls us down. So we always want to visualize, and visualization works amazing with the body, with everything. So visualize your spine as lengthening. So think of your head either as a helium balloon or attached to a helium balloon, so that your whole spine, just think your entire spine is lengthening. And that's a good way to walk around, just to do anything in that lengthened position, number one. So for the neck, to take away from this, this forward head that compresses everything, causes headache, eye strain. So what you want to do, you want to just very gently tuck your chin. Shouldn't hurt. So what you're doing is so you're keeping the length, And it's just, you're keeping your eyes straight, and it's just ever so gently. You're tucking your chin.
Are you dropping your chin, or are you taking?
No, just straight back.
Like
straight back. And if that's hard to do,
yeah.
what you can do is you can put your hand on your neck, or you can just even push it straight back. So it's just ever so gentle that you're pushing, you just very, very slightly, so that if you put your hand on your neck, you feel the muscles there, you'll feel it like pushing into, when you do that, you'll feel the muscles pushing into your hand a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're pushing back. So it just stretches that out. It takes you exactly out of the text neck. And not even the text neck, the forward head, it's called. Text neck's a little different. But the problem is when you tell people, okay, so don't go in that position, it doesn't work. It doesn't, because we're busy. We're not going to think, oh my goodness, where is my head? It just doesn't work. But what does work, if you know, 3 to 5 times a day, you put a reminder or you tie it into an activity after you go to the bathroom or whatever, that you should do a few exercises, that works. And so if you know, and I would say 3 to 5 repetitions, so it's just very gently bringing the neck back. And so very gently, or you could put your hand there if you want. So 3 to 5 times. So that's number one. The second one is the shoulders. So what we want, the shoulders are forward and rounded, and the muscles become weak. So what we want to do is we want to wake up these muscles. So 2 ways, so if you can see me better, 2 ways you can do it. You can just at your sides, bring your shoulder blades back and down. So just, it's not so much in, so it's more you're going, back and down with the shoulder blades. Or you can bring them a little higher and go back and down. You could just go back and down, which feels really good. It's just, you're just trying to wake up those muscles. So so we're not going out. So it's sort of like we're right here. Like if someone says, stick them up, and just back and down. So it's just, it should feel comfortable. It shouldn't hurt at all. So either way, you can do it here, back and down, or if it's better to do it up here, back and down.
I feel that so much.
It should feel good. Don't push it. Just do what's comfortable. And, you can hold it for a couple seconds. So just very gentle. I'll show you. And then the last one, I'll stand. Let's see if we can see me. Actually, I'll show you 2. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So this one, let me take my earphones off. All right. So this one is for the low back, and it's exact opposite, even though we try not to round, is you just take your hand and you put them right in the curve of your low back, standing. Yeah. And you think of your chest, you think of your chest expanding, and you're just very gently, your knees, never have your knees locked, so they're soft. And just going, as you breathe in, you just go back over your hands.
And are you trying to arch your back?
Just a little.
Okay.
Yeah, so you walk over your hands, comfortable though.
Uh-huh.
If you have a problem with spinal stenosis or this hurts, just go to neutral. You're just like expanding a little bit, should not hurt.
And I can feel that even sitting. Can you do it sitting, or do you have to do it standing?
Much better sit. You can do it sitting, but it's much better standing. Sitting, you could put like a little pillow and arch, but yeah, if you could just get up, because you want to get up. If you're spending time exercising, get up. And now I'll show you, you can put them all together. So everybody can stand up for a minute. This is really great. It's a Qigong exercise that sort of puts it all together. So your knees are bent, and as you straighten, you're gonna go up and back. So you're gonna breathe in and then exhale. So simple and easy, but we're opening the meridians, and we're just, besides, and it's helping our posture, right? Doesn't that feel so good?
So nice.
We didn't talk about this, but I actually can send you, I have videos of me doing all this. Would that be helpful, Debora?
Yes, we can give those away.
Okay, can I give that to you and then you'll get it to everybody?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll get it to everyone in the replay tomorrow, and you'll have the videos of this, which I think would be very helpful.
Yeah. It goes over sitting, it goes over standing, it goes over
Yeah, Debora's saying her posture is challenged, and now she can really feel how tight and tense the back really is. One of the other things I've really found with people that I work with is that when you have chronic pain, you often lose touch with your body and don't have the best relationship you could have. And the body is designed for movement, and you've got to learn to listen to it and give it what it needs. And even just, tuning in and taking the time to notice that you're tense and tight. Like a lot of people go through their whole day, they've never taken a deep breath. They're not even aware. And that's how you end up with chronic pain habits that if you wait every decade before you listen and do something to nurture your body, don't, consider it the most important relationship you have. Really. I mean, you're in there.
No,
You're
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think because we want to numb it, we don't want to think about it. And it just gets worse. You have pain, you ignore it, it gets tight, you're not getting the blood circulating, and it becomes a vicious cycle. So, my suggestion, what I see all the time, is people just think, oh, I have to live with it. No. Well, number one, they can see you because you're the most amazing, by the way. For everybody listening, I went to, and I'm going again to Deborah's Day of Healing. And I have chronic pain in my toes. My mother died of ovarian cancer, and it started when I was taking her to chemo, but it's been many years now. And they are so much better since I've gone to your days of heal. It's incredible. So number one, right, you have a real gift here with Deborah, but also structurally, physical, there are people who can help you. And so don't just forget about it, seek help. And if you don't like the first person, keep digging, because especially in conjunction with the work you do, Deborah, so to have your amazing energy plus structurally figure out. Yes. And then we've talked about this, like you and I, you help get people in better shape, but then they need a maintenance program, and they need to know what exercise, and they need to know how to do their daily activities so that they're not exacerbating problems. So get help. You can get help for this, and you can be so much better, even if you don't realize it.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, really, you can't forget about the body. And so, the people in my world come to me because they love the energy and the etheric, and they love the magic of it all, and the non-touch and the non-drugs. And believe me, so do I. I'm totally passionate about it. But if you really knew me, which a lot of you do, you realize my background's in dance. And I'm a yoga teacher, and I practice yoga like religiously because the body is the most important. Like, you can't negate one. You can't just do energy healing, or you can't just exercise. You've got to put them together and develop that inner relationship. You hear me talk a lot about your inner emotions, but it's just as important to notice, well, why is my knee hurting? It doesn't just hurt because I'm of aging. It hurts for a reason. There's a misalignment. And yes, it may be related to your emotions, or what, you've been sitting for 10 hours. But either way, you've got to have a mind, body, emotion, energy connection. It's all interconnected. You can't just do one little area. So, speaking of which, Margie has a new program out that I want her to tell us about, and she's been very generous again, as always. So will you tell us about the new happiness program that I forget the name of it? Is it the Reset?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So I've been teaching happiness for, as I said, for several years, just this happiness course. I've been teaching happiness for 35 years, but I started an online happiness course, which has been incredible, which has really been so wonderful, where we go over, it's 8 weeks, the happiness part, it's 8 weeks, and we go over all aspects of happiness. How can we rewire our brains for positivity and really learn what to do with the negative thoughts, as well as relationships, the negative people, and we go into spirituality. So there's lots and lots, there's 21 habits all in all, and it's divided in different areas. And we go over, so that's an 8-week program. And that's what I had for up until the pandemic. During the pandemic, everyone, because as I said, I'm a physical therapist and a health coach. So everyone wanted to know, what can they do about their immune system? What can they do about this? And everybody wanted a reset. And so in January, I said, you know what? I can teach this, and I have amazing experts as well. So I added another piece to it called the Reset program. And so it's all together. It's called the Happy Me, Happy Life Reset. And so what that is twice a month, twice a month. It's at 12 o'clock on noon, but you can come to the replays if you can't come. But what I have is, so I teach one class a month, and I taught them on the gut, healthy eating, ergonomics. I did a whole thing in detail. How do you set up your workstation?
Wow.
As well as toxins. You know, what is in our everyday life? How can we remove toxins from our life? But then I've had 4 experts come. One was on Feldenkrais, how to move better. Another person was on a fabulous exercise physiology on how we use bands to really get a great, the loops. And I had an angel, a person who speaks to angels. How can we connect more? So it's been really, really, really special. And I have great guests. I have another ergonomic specialist coming in to really go over even more detail. We're going to analyze people's setups. So it's really exciting. So anyway, so that's the whole program. You can join monthly, or you can join, for a year, and beginning of it. So it's starting again. I mean, it's continuous, the reset part, but it's starting again on April 20th. We're starting the next live happiness class. And sort of like you, Deborah, where you sort of stop doing the day of healing. I don't always do them live. A lot of times I'll just have people watch the replays, but recently we've all wanted community, and that's what we created. And I think everybody working together in the community has lifted us all up. So it's sort of like what I found, the tools and the community really help. So right now, it's normally $97 a month, but right now I'm giving everyone 50% off.
Wow.
So it's
50% off. So for like $50.
Yeah.
And you can join anytime, or you
can join anytime, but right now is the live happiness class.
Got it.
Oh, and the other thing is I'm going to include all the 8 classes we've had. So the angel. So all of those classes I'm going to just put in the portal. So when someone joins, they'll get all the 8 classes that my people who started in January have gotten, because they're so good and they're foundational and they're really so powerful. Awesome. So I think there's 52 classes. So it comes to less than like $15 a week.
Amazing.
So it's
beautiful. Thank you so much for offering half off to everybody. I'll get the link and put that in the.
Do you have it? I can put it. I have it right now. I can put it. I have. Here.
But just know, everybody, it's going to be in the email tomorrow. It will also be on the replay.
Oh, it's not it. I thought I copied it. Oh well.
I'll put it in it will definitely be on the replay page, the website page. When you go to watch the replay of this, it'll be there. It will be in the email tomorrow. And if you can't find it there, email our office and we'll get it for you. But it'll be in both those places, and it will also be on Facebook, and on Instagram in the comments. So we'll get it all over the place.
Okay. Also, they have to use the coupon code though, because if you just go for it, it will show up as $97. So
I'll make sure to put the special coupon code. I think it's HighSpeed Healing Deborah or something like that, right?
I think we did HighSpeed. Wasn't it HighSpeed 50? We'll put it all in. Okay.
Put it all in. Don't quote me. I should have written it down and I didn't. Sorry. I will make sure it gets posted everywhere. But it's like a huge extension from your normal happiness course. I know I had quite a few people go through it, the happiness original program, and loved it. So this is even above and beyond. Wow. And
it was everybody asked me for it. It was sort of, the other thing we do after the 8 weeks, what I found was that the people, not that they lost the happiness, but you tend to, if you're not around the people that are helping lift you up, you tend to sort of, I don't know how to explain it, but you sort of get back into maybe some old habits that you don't want to. So once a month we get together, and that's in the evening actually, and we get together and I call it the happy zone meetings, where we'll learn some new material, but we share wins, we do meditation and more Qigong exercises. And, really it keeps everybody in the zone, and we keep lifting each other up. So it's just,
I'm telling you, I see that in my programs as well. When people go through a program and finish it, if they literally put it away and don't keep the tools alive, they go back to their default pattern. And there's something about being in a collective community where everybody is just they want to be well, they want to be healthy, they're thinking the same, like-minded thoughts, they're practicing similar tools, they're lifting each other up. We're not all in a good place on the same day, and we're not all in a bad place on the same day. And so we need each other. And this idea of like, oh, I got this, I got it, I'm on my own, like that gets people in a lot of trouble. So I love that you're offering the community, the happy zone. I like that.
Yeah,
So,
I was just thinking, I tested it. I started realizing that because I let people continue to come to my class, and people come.
yeah,
And people have come to the exact same class because I've done it, I think 4 times live now.
yeah,
They don't have to pay anymore to continue. If they want to come another session, I just let people come, and they keep coming. I think it's the energy of the group, and each time you get something else out of it. And it's but yeah, and I love it. It truly got me through the pandemic. I have to be, because I stopped seeing patients one-on-one at the office, and here I am with the computer, but I love the community, and it kept me, we all kept each other elevated. And I was so inspired because people reinvented themselves, like they used the tools. And if I was ever wanting to know, does this work? The pandemic showed me, yes, people were able to pivot, people were able to use the tools. And really, I couldn't get over what I was seeing with people. It was really
so beautiful.
It's been
beautiful. I love that. We've all been going through a lot of changes and a lot of learning on planet Earth, and it's not going to stop. And we need tools, and we need tools that don't harm us. And I just thank you so much. This is really exciting what you're doing, and I love all the growth that you've had and the successes. So just to recap, everybody, so take breaks, move your body, hear self-talk, move your body, take breaks, posture, pretend you're a ballerina, and lift up from the top of your head, like there's a string coming out of the top of your head. What else did you teach? Oh, the shoulders back and down, right? The sitting on your hands to find your sitting bones so you can sit properly instead of slouching. The Qigong, standing up and doing the whole thing. And my favorite that you shared today of everything is try to do this and go, I feel miserable. It just doesn't work. I love that.
And you know what else, Deborah? Take that concept though. That's one concept I teach in the class, is that there's 2 energies in life: the energy of expansion and the energy of contraction.
Yeah.
And just like you teach, feel into the body. And I use that, it's my internal GPS. How does something make you feel? Does it make you feel expansive? Or does it make, and that's a yes, or does it make you feel contracted? And it's so great. And one easy concept is do things in life that make you feel expanded. Sort of go through your daily activities. If they make you feel contracted, it's time for a course correction here,
Absolutely, because if you live long enough, and you hear me preach about this, you guys, if you live long enough saying yes when you mean no, and doing what you don't love, what sucks your energy, guess what leads to pain? Just saying. Like you can't live a life like that for very long without having some kind of symptom, or getting into that lovely habit of, oh, I'm just too sick, I can't go, as a way to say no and set a boundary. We've got to make these changes if we really genuinely want to live at a higher vibration and not live motivated by guilt and shame and our conditioning from childhood. There's another question here. Well, there's a couple of them. Let's see. Oh, I'm so glad, Sandra. I can use today around my chair health. Yeah, absolutely. There is a question. What about, let's just for really briefly in the last 2 minutes, if someone has an accident or an injury, so I always talk about the trauma and the cellular memory, but what I notice is people, they're afraid to move after an accident or an injury. Will you talk about that briefly?
Oh, absolutely. I just want to say one very quick thing, that posture should be comfortable and natural. Don't go into, it shouldn't be forced, and it shouldn't be extreme, because that will cause more tension. So it should just be comfortable, natural, feeling like you're flowing. Yes, that's such a good point. You get injured, you tighten up to protect. That's your body's mechanism. The body usually overprotects too. So then you get some scar tissue and and then you don't want to move it. So you're not getting the blood. So it's like pain, spasms up, then you have more pain because you're not getting the blood. So that's why you need to see Deborah and you need to see actual, a physical therapist or a practitioner to get it moving and to get things and to get it so it's functioning properly. Because yes, it's just going to lead to this problem. And then you're going to overuse another area of the body and that's going to start taking the brunt of it. So it's only get things as fast as possible. Don't wait. You really want to correct the dysfunction as fast as you possibly can, or an osteopath, or find a good practitioner. And it may take a little time to find that person, but keep going, because not every physical therapist is amazing either. So you have to really.
It's really true. I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
And in my dance career, I just wanted to do it right, and so I would do all kinds of contortions to just achieve the final pose. And I developed muscles on one side stronger than the other as a result, and that did not serve me later in life. And I've had to unwind and unwork all of that and relearn. And it's once you do it for years, it's not that easy. So you want to learn, like Margie's saying, like, get rid of the dysfunction the minute you spot it. Don't let it become a habit. Margie, are you seeing patients over Zoom virtually?
I'm so busy. I do see some. I don't have, I've actually really limited because I'm so busy with my programs and everything else. Okay. So I do see a few.
All right.
But
I'll give you all of Margie's contact info. You can reach out to her. I'm sure. I want you to check out her programs. They're amazing. And we could all use a little more happiness.
Can I just say one other thing? The Feldenkrais, that's the Feldenkrais practitioner takes everyone through really an incredible, it's like 45 minutes and it's totally safe. That's the thing. I only have people on who are like amazing. She's also a physical therapist. So it's a session that really loosens you up because it teaches you new habits. So anyway, continue. Sorry.
All right, well, I'll give you all this information and we will go from there. But thank you everyone so much for being here today. And Margie, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're always so generous with your time and your tips and your wisdom. Thanks for coming back. I can't wait to have you again. And I'll see you on the Day of Healing.
Yes, I can't wait for that Day of Healing. Well, thank you for having me. And I'll get you the exercise videos. It's called 2 Weeks to Better Posture. So it shows all these things and even the Qigongs in there. So you'll get all that stuff.
Thank you so much for that. And everybody, I'll see you in at 5, which is right now, in the HighSpeed Healing universe, those of you that are members. And thank you again for being here on HighSpeed Healing Wednesdays. It's a pleasure. Love you all. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.